Architecture is political. Architecture it looks at history. Architecture responds to heritage. Architecture can play a role in conservation, a huge role. There should be, more importantly, we should look at what we want to do or how we want to design cities that acknowledges the past, which is, the genocide against Tutsis. How can we foster those strong communities and create that within city planning? So architecture is literally almost the center of how we can navigate as a country. So I'm turning 30 this year, so I'm in between. I represent the post-genocide. I know let's say it was literally after, even though I was in the middle, I came right after the genocide. So it affects me because every time we say, oh, we're celebrating 29 years old after the genocide against Tutsi, 30 years old after genocide, I feel like we're growing and I have to grow myself. To me, to be emotional because it feels like Rwanda came from the trenches, and somehow I also should represent Rwanda after the trenches. I feel like I'm also I fit in that. What does Rwanda after the trenches look like? How are we living? Yes, I'm going to carry a little bit of trauma from my community, from my parents, but how are we moving and building the future? How are we carrying that, or are we not carrying that into the future or into the present? I think from the youngest age, I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help people. Along the way, I realized I was good at drawing, so I wanted to do animation. But I turned to architecture. I almost had a fallout with architecture. I was like, these are just boxes, these are just buildings. I'm not really impacting life. So again, I was like, I think I should go back to medicine because it can help someone. So at the end of the day, I realized even hospitals are buildings. So you cannot exactly affect someone's life in an instant with the building, but you can affect how they live. You can change how they live. You can affect how they live. You can elevate their lifestyle by updating or changing building methods. So architecture does impact life. I think architecture to be able to be a tool for reconciliation. Looking at myself or other architects is acknowledging the way we live. Beyond people, we have to do that ourselves as architects. How do I connect the people in that community? How do I bring them together? Have I created spaces that can help them reconcile? Have I created space that can have them share or learn more about each other, connect? Are there spaces that the users can meet in and actually connect beyond business networking, but more as a community, to come up with ideas that can, help build the country? Are there spaces for that? Are there those opportunities? Even commercial building, even on ground scale, city planning on the streets, do we have a way to sit down and say, oh, I can sit with a stranger and share tea or coffee? Those are things that can be considered to improve, also to act on the idea of reconciliation. I'm looking at it from a small scale first, beyond bigger scale, because we should spend more time knowing who our neighbor is, beyond knowing I'm going to work with someone else in the city. So it should be in how we build our neighbor, our houses, how we commune with within our, how can I call this, our own residential streets. Architecture must acknowledge the need of building communities, because architecture is not about buildings. Architecture is about people. It's yes, it can be for family, but beyond one family, there's a multiple family. It's building society, basically. It's not about how many levels I can build, how many skyscrapers I can build. I believe we have to be inspired by how we live in order to create something that resonates with us. I should resonate, or anyone who's a Rwandan should be able to resonate that actually that building is from here. If I type Rwanda architecture in Google, what do I see? Is there something that resonates with us, or should we create it? Why can I write Sahelian architecture and I see something, but for us we don't? So eventually we realize we have lost touch actually with heritage, with our own heritage. We've lost touch with that. We didn't practice the methods of our own traditional building construction methods. We have removed what we call, I think, rukarakara. I think amazu ya rukarakara. We've removed that, but there is something about those buildings that actually belong to our own identity, that resonates with us. That method of construction, if properly well done, actually might be the strongest and most eco-friendly house or building that we might have. So it's knowing what we have and actually how we narrate it, how we call it, to acknowledge that, oh, this is heritage. I think Rwanda has done such a great job for someone like me to be here today, in a way that I experience such great opportunities of not just the freedom to work. They've encouraged the youth to participate in businesses. There is all these awards they give to young children, youth, elevating them into their own businesses, into this idea you can grow. There is a future in Rwanda. Coming to understand that there is a future in Rwanda at this age, and seeing the potential in what can be done and how I can participate in actually achieving or bringing that, is what makes living in Rwanda enjoyable. And not relying on I want to see this, I wish we could be here. No, I'm also part of the transition of bringing Rwanda there. So I'm one of the components that take Rwanda further, me or whoever I represent at this age, the youth basically after 1994. It's us who are bringing, carrying now the torch to the future, to elevating Rwanda higher. So I feel like it's more, I don't know if it feels like a responsibility, but it's a healthy, positive burden that I acknowledge. That's why it's a bit emotional to say, oh, I am turning 30. Rwanda is 30 years old after genocide. What does that mean,